Recording, so you guys can all see me in that picture, right? I'm red, orange, and yellow. I'm the warmest thing inside the video. So I'd say I'm the hottest thing inside there, but my wife hates that line. So everything around me should be blue and black, right? So those are the coldest spots in the picture at that time. If you take me out of the picture, it's gonna turn orange, red, somewhere else, and you're gonna get notifications that I need to go to work. Sorry, I'm not a yeller, so I am not going to shout over motorcycles. But you guys kind of get the gist of how this is going to fluctuate. So really what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep somebody's skin tone in the picture at all times, and that way we could see those blue and black spots kind of move across those particular warmer areas. It's much easier to see when we have a baseline of our skin temperature, because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. It's only about 67 degrees out here tonight, I'm guessing. Oh, it actually, well, that says 74. So it says 74. I'm a little off. All right, so Mike, this is gonna go to you, buddy. Okay. You're gonna hold that horizontal all night. You're gonna be my cameraman. If the red square that you have on the left-hand side of your screen turns to a circle, tap it again, let me know. That means I have to splice some video together. It takes a little bit longer, but my previous 2 tours, I think I have like 6 videos to splice together for them, so what's another 45 minutes, right? So no worries, just let me know so I know what I'm working with. All right, so we're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. Spirit boxes allow us to speak to the dead. Oh wow, I see a lot of head shaking. This is gonna be a rough night.
We're fighting over who wants to speak to the dead.
I know, right?
Yeah,
well, I have 3 of them. I have 3 different types of spirit boxes, so there's gonna be one going to every group. So we're gonna start off with this guy. Why this guy? Because it records everything. Well, first off, let me explain how this thing works. So let me kind of back up just a few minutes, because I don't know who knows what here. So spirit boxes actually sweep through FM radio stations at a very quick rate. So it's kind of like that white noise you hear on the ghost hunting TV shows, and then Zach Bagans tells you what he thinks he wants you to hear. Like, they said Zach, they said Bagans. No, they did not say Bagans. So mine is slowed down a little bit. I want the radio chatter to come through, because you guys aren't used to listening to this. So you actually need some human voices to listen for. It's a 50-50 shot that what you hear is going to be relevant to the location of where we are, a person I'm talking about, or something going on with one of us. One of our names might actually pop up. What was funny was I was at the flea market today, for example, on another spirit box, it actually said, "Stay, meet, Nick." Like, I had people at my table and they were all cracking up because it said, "Stay, meet, Nick." It was crazy. So, at any rate, this one records the entire session for us. What's so cool about that is there's no outside noise. So whatever you're asking or whatever you guys are talking about, it's not going to hear us. It's only going to record the radio sweeps even when it's on mute. That's the wonderful thing about this. So even when I'm telling stories and we keep the volume down, we're going to have the full recording tomorrow morning at a nice even level. You get this recording back as well. So, Ricky, yeah? This one's going to you. So, we're going to stick with spirit boxes so everybody kind of already has that in their brain of how they work, so I'm going to continue with that. And this next one's going to go to you.
Okay.
I'm telling your mama.
So this one works the exact same way, sweeping the FM radio stations. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't show you how to use it, did I? No. So the only thing you need to worry about, I know how horrible I am. It's been a long day. Don't touch the button. There's a wheel next to the button. That's your volume. So you're just going to control the volume. You don't need to hit anything on the front.
Why do I control the volume?
So you can hear what they're saying to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not just going to hold a device and listen to me talk, right? That's no fun.
Look at it like this. Like that?
All right, so this one does the exact same thing, only it doesn't record. So the reason why I'm... Randy, was it?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why I'm giving this to Randy is because we have audio recording on Mike's thermal imaging. So in the event we actually hear something, we actually have it on that piece where we can actually verify. Not to mention, I don't think these two are going to separate tonight, so he can kind of help her listen to this as well. So you also only have one button. I set it up super simple. There's a button on the side of the speaker. You hold it down to turn the volume down and hold it up to turn it up.
Okay.
That's it. And we're going to talk more about these spirit boxes, like I said, at the first location. The wife helped pack my gear today, so everything's out of order. Alright, last but not least. Uh-oh. Who's the nurse? Somebody here is nervous. I got, like, somebody's really nervous. I don't know why.
Who is it?
I don't know. We're going to find out real fast, I think. It's only because you guys really haven't said much since you guys got here.
I'm just listening.
You're being SpongeBob, you're taking it all in?
Yeah.
So this one is going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen, and then it's going to save them all to a list. So the cool thing about this is you're going to get the full list back. The bad part about this list is 80% of your list is going to be absolute bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. So I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. It's meant to be a game. So when I get specific answers out of this thing, now that's the 360 terms on there that I'm deleting were from me playing with it at the flea market. But you guys are going to get the full list. The other 5 to 20% that I'm going to find that's relevant is going to be specific things or details based on the stories I'm telling you. Sometimes this specific device will give us clues on which stories I need to tell in that specific area. Some places we go to have multiple stories based on the buildings or the location. So a lot of times I'll say, what's on the word list? You know, and I don't go through it and say, oh, it said doctor. Maybe I need to tell you the story of the doctor here. Maybe we'll get more out of it. That kind of thing. That's what I'm looking for out of this guy. So that's actually going to go to you because you literally haven't said a word. So other than your own name.
Oh,
so.
right.
So.
You're the nurse Nelly. Is that what that means? Yep.
Yep. All right. What do we got next? All right. EMF meters. So I don't get excited with one device going off. You need to know that first and foremost. If you hear the word doctor, I'm not excited yet. I need something else either from your device or another one to kind of give me a clue. This is usually my first clue. If the EMF meter is going off, that usually is my first clue, and then I'll take the doctor as, okay, we might actually have the doctor with us. So this measures 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. They use these on TV because they're very sensitive, okay? They never explain how they work. First thing it's going to measure is it's natural coming from the earth. That's why it's not doing anything. The second one is going to be from electronic devices. So parking meters, cell phones, buildings with wires. It's going to make it go into a rhythm or a pulse. That's usually what you're seeing on TV, by the way, are those rhythms and pulses. They'll slide your cell phone underneath the table and make it go off kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff you're going to see there. We don't want that either. We want this thing to go erratic. We want it to go a little nuts. So when this thing goes a little nuts, you need to let us know. It doesn't make any noise. It's all on you. She's like, awesome. You don't even have to hold any, hit any buttons. You just gotta hold it.
I'm great. You're very good. Like, oh, wait. I don't want to miss that.
All right, so where do we want to go next?
I'm pretty sure the EMF.
I have a whole Santa Claus bag here full of gear, as you guys can imagine. So when I have, like, this is only set up for 10 people. So Charleston says I could go to 20 people, but I won't do it. I literally only go to 10 people. That's it, max. And to be honest with you, when I seen I was up to 8, I cut it off. I'm like, I had 10 last night. I'm good. I had 10 actually every night this week, except for tonight. I was like, I'm gonna cut it off. All right, so this one, how responsible do you feel today? Feeling responsible? Between the two of you, who's the most responsible?
Oh, definitely me.
Okay. All right. Here's why. We have lasers. So lasers get Nick in a lot of trouble. Okay? So with me probably being the only tour out tonight, there's going to be a lot of eyes on us. So lasers flashed in the wrong direction, I'll be arrested and taken away, and you guys will be on your own.
Yeah, I don't want it.
You don't want it? Oh. There's too many masks. I can't see who's talking. So why do we use lasers? Is because obviously you can see the dots on the ground, you can see the light at the pen, but you can't see the lights in between until something passes in between it. Okay, so that's really what we're looking for here, is for something to be flashing in between. So you're going to actually get 2 of them because I want them in the same hands, so I know who has them. So first off, let me make sure I'm not going to flash myself. This guy gives us red squares. Why do I want red squares? So when we catch something here, I'm going to have somebody probably with a camera on your group too. So, but once we capture something here, we can get a full 3D view of the apparition that we caught. So I can put it in 3D software. Have I caught anything with the 3D software yet? No. It has to be pretty specific for us to be able to take it. But super cool. This is not a cross the streams kind of mentality. You will get dizzy, I promise. And nobody got my don't cross the streams joke? Ghostbusters, y'all, come on! Alright, so this one has a button that you have to hold. So, and that's not something you want to keep on all the time. And that one has a toggle switch.
Okay. Don't let up. They like the money of pencil. Oh yeah, that's probably. Yeah, maybe it's one of the people that has the name. Yeah,
Your job is going to be assisting her. Okay. So you help her listen to that spirit box
Okay.
by taking a bunch of pictures. Go ahead and point one of your lasers down for me. So what we're doing here, guys, just so you know when you get your pictures back, we're literally taking pictures through the laser. We want to go this way. We don't want to point down. I know what they look like this way. So we want to capture something here. So you literally want to stand like 3 to 5 feet back, take pictures.
Okay.
You want to be as still as possible.
Okay.
Because the more you squiggle, we're like, oh, look, we have something. No, they're all shaped this exact same way. So that's kind of, you'll see when we get the pictures back. And I'm going to give you a night vision light too. So we'll kind of mess around with that. Do you have a pocket or something? Because it's not always perfect.
Like this? Well,
that'll work.
there's a pocket on the front.
Okay. Well, I'll get that to you. In our
Oh,
first
yes,
location. So who's missing something? That would be you.
I don't know.
Mike is really getting into his role, everybody. I want you all to see this. He's into it. Last but not least, we have my new device. It's a multi-function phone. So, I really haven't handed this out a whole lot. I've only had it for about 3 weeks. But what this guy does, first off, it measures ambient temperature. So in case Mike captures something on his camera, we can debunk it pretty quickly. We want to figure out what the temperature is. It also has an EMF built into it. Okay, so I don't know what the dynamic is here. Mom, kids, is that what this is? Yes. Okay, so in case mom's EMF's going up, I want you guys to kind of compare things. But the cool thing is it also has a REM pod built in. So let me demonstrate a REM pod for everybody, because that is relatively an odd term that you don't always hear every day. So, in the event something gets too close to that antenna, it's going to go off. It detects motion. Okay? So, it gets really annoying. So we'll keep it off and antenna down when we're not using it, and I'm going to show you more at our first location. So your first big numbers are equivalents and loss, and I'll show you how to read that. And then the bottom is the temperature. See, I was right. It is 67 degrees out here. That's probably 80%.
I know it.
All right, you guys ready to hear some stories and go stuff?
Wait,
Yeah.
she doesn't know how to use her thing.
No, I just think I pressed a button and I want to make sure it's not messed up. I pulled up some menu. Okay. Thanks.
See why I don't hand digital cameras to teenagers? Sorry, I assume. No? Okay, well.
She does look like a kid.
I'm 24.
Wow. All right, I was a little off on that one.
A wedding ring.
I think mine died.
It died?
It died?
It turned off. Press the button. I didn't press it.
They told you not to press that button.
I didn't press it.
I looked like a child today.
So this one a few weeks ago gave me a little bit of trouble due to paranormal activity.
The ghost broke it.
Pretty much. So what happened was at one of my locations, the camera was on the person holding this. A white film came over them in like a quick flash, and literally this thing died. We walked away from that specific area, it fired right back up again.
Are we going?
We are going.
Maybe they'll have to again.
So, you're back up and running.
I'm sorry.
Alright, so we are here for a reason, because of course this place is haunted. This place, nobody's from here, right? Alright, I don't think so. If I could lie to you all night, we'll be good. You guys will never know. Cool. So, this place used to be called Big John's, named after Big John Kennedy, who was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. So, he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to be drinking there. Well, one night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough. John tells the bartender, get them out of here. So they leave, pretty pissed off. Come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. That wasn't very cool, was it? So, Big John sees them, he gets into a big bar fight with these 2 guys. This is Big John Kennedy. Who do you think's going to win this one? So, they get into a little rough and tumble. A couple shots were fired, and John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet ricochets and lands in the wall. He gets up, he goes back to the bar, he tells the bartender, get me a beer, go get them an ambulance. Now, nobody died in that story, so what's haunting the place? The bullet hole still here. So, because John's blood is on it, and it's still in the wall, probably absorbed by the wood, because it's made of nature, people that sit in the front of the bar get a little queasy, nauseous, headaches, those kind of things. The only place I've ever actually gotten an EMF in that building was right there in front of that window, on random occasions, if not even all the time. So, I bring up this story on purpose because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect anybody. Whether you believe in this or not, headaches from EMF is a thing. anybody feels any of those symptoms that I mentioned, I need to know immediately. We will all move on pretty quickly and do the best we can to get you to a safer place. I'm not saying this to scare you, but it can happen. So I won't say that people haven't passed out from my tours. So let's not talk about our own health, right? Let's move on. This is supposed to be happy and fun. So we had a big earthquake in 1886. That's happy, right? So that's not our own health. That's somebody else who died. So the mantle that's above your head, actually a piece of it broke off in the front of the building and killed somebody. Allegedly, that's where the first death occurred from that earthquake. You're going to hear me mention that earthquake several times tonight. I don't have any proof of it. It's just a great story, so you're not thinking about your own health. Are you guys ready to go something? Yeah. What do you think, Mike? You ready?
Yeah.
He's like, Mike's tired of hearing me talk already.
Yeah, he's already on it.
He is on it. All right, let's go this way. Watch the garbage. Let's get everybody in. Alright, so first and foremost, you guys are going to find out tonight that I love parking lots for two reasons. First off, it allows us to spread out and it allows us to kind of explore a little bit. Second, I will take you to places that once were, meaning there might not be something to actually see. So kind of keep in mind, this is not a sightseeing tour. Hopefully you weren't expecting one.
Do you want me to have the lasers on at all times?
No. I would definitely cue you for lasers. So, speaking of lasers, this is the big red barn lot. This is the horses where the carriage ride. The horses are inside the building. No lasers on that building. Absolutely. You will spook them. The spirit boxes, you will stay at an audible level, and you're supposed to be speaking up.
Well,
You can interrupt. This is interactive. Lady.
okay.
Let's do this.
All right. Well,
So,
it's lining up a little bit
good.
there.
That's what we want. So I want you to really, when you're doing that, I want you to see if there's a pattern.
Okay.
So we want to kind of debunk it first. But spirit boxes, when you're using them in this lot, you will kind of keep them audible to you and the person you're working with on that device only. You don't want to spook the horses with white noise. They will kick the barn, and if you wanted that jump scare, that's the way to get it. So let's talk a little bit about the history here, because there's not much. This is the same red barn where we held horses that delivered milk to Charleston. That's all I have. So, yeah, told you it was short and brief, right? So this is a great place for me to talk about all of your devices, but because there's 3 spirit boxes out, I do want to focus on that first. This is not TV. This is not, is somebody here? You're going to literally be asking questions. But is somebody here and somebody says no? First off, that means somebody's here. They answered you. Second, if it's a radio station, that the two noisy spirit boxes, you guys heard of the word houses, you think you heard the word yes. Yes and no are too commonly mistaken for something else. We're just going to eliminate all yes and no questions. There's always a way to reword questions. Always. If somebody's here, give me your name. Not is somebody here. I want a specific detail. That's what we're after. So, also when I'm telling you the history of any location, I emphasize key words. So, this place, for example, I emphasize the words delivery and milk. If you guys were listening to me before, back there, I said New York Giants 1947 with Big John, right? So again, I'm looking for those kind of clues here. You're going to start off with simple questions. Think of your entire time with me as kind of a training class. This is novice level. You're going to ask questions you already know the answer to. We all know that I already said the big red barn, right? So you're going to ask, if somebody's here, tell me what color that barn is. You're going to listen for the color red. If you don't hear the color red, listen for things that might be red specifically, like a fire truck or a heart or anything specifically red that you can come up with. Okay, again, we're listening for those kind of clues. That's what this is. Your devices are kind of like Bumblebee from Transformers. If you've never seen that movie, he uses the radio to talk. That's what he does. So, in the event you don't get an answer after a couple of tries, I want you to move on to another question. Don't linger. They'll answer it later. They may have already answered it. We don't know yet. But you gotta remember, I'm here 6 nights a week. They know what questions we're going to ask. What's inside the barn? Animals, horses, anything related to horses. But I also said delivery, milk. They also delivered eggs. So I've had the words calcium and protein show up here before too. So again, that spirit box digital list that you have and the 2 spirit boxes, like these are the kind of clues that we're going to be playing with here. If you hear numbers, 9 times out of 10, it's usually a jersey number. But I also wait for the first name. So if you want to know what Big John's jersey number was, ask. If somebody's here and you played with Big John, tell me what your jersey number was. And then ask for a name. So if you hear 4-4 and then you hear art class, well, that was Art Faircloth. He was a teammate with Big John and his number was 44. You see where I kind of get all those clues from? That's what this is about. It's not a reach or a stretch, and I will tell you if something's a reach or a stretch. So I've had it before, but I'm going to be honest with you guys all night long. That's the one thing I promise. So spirit boxes, I do want you guys to kind of, well, you're going to be with him. I do need to talk to him about his device. But you guys can go ahead and get started with picture taking, lasers on the ground. Lasers can also set off car alarms. I don't like to run with 8 other people. It's not fun. Yeah. So just be mindful.
Okay.
So yeah, get those pictures going, listen to that spirit box, see what we got going on. Ladies, you pretty much have the gist of what yours is doing. I'm going to get with you a little bit more after I touch on the thermal imaging. So let's spread out, have some fun, stay within the confines of the lot. Mike, let's talk about your camera here. So point it at the wall for me and tell me what you got. Should bleed out. You got pretty much one color. So if I step into it, the wall should turn relatively blue or black. You want to try to keep that skin tone in there, just like I mentioned before. So your job is really simple. Just a cameraman. I'm not expecting you to see anything. It's not always every night I have something on the thermal, but when we do have it, holy cow, it's great stuff. It's just you're at the ready. So as long as you're recording, we're good to go.
So I want to have some kind of flesh tone in there to help with the...
Exactly. Exactly. So because you're getting the gist really fast, I'm going to show you a quick piece of evidence so that way you kind of get a better gist of what you're looking for. Bring it up here just a second. I post all the great evidence, and that's the other thing I got to do this week. For the past 3 weeks, I've been so busy with getting ready. So this is our next location we're going to. You see the living people walking past the wall? Obviously their heads were orange. Two dead people. They're going to be up in this corner right here, and then somebody's flesh tone, a regular living human, is going to be in the picture. So there he is, and there's a few. We're always looking for something blue or black. That's a 25+ degree difference in temperature. So I've had it analyzed. I can show it again. But I've had it analyzed by mechanics and firemen, the guys who actually use that thing as a tool every day. They can't make heads or tails of it either. It's not a vehicle, it's too far away. Like we've literally frame by framed it. There's 2 heads, like they're pretty close together, but they're literally walking past the wall. Craziness.
Now, is there a way to make it focus better? Or?
Nope. So that technology is not our cell phone technology. It's all about temperature. So if the temperature looks blurry, it's just because it's a little further away.
Okay.
So, and you will see it like stop and calibrate from time to time. I'm sure you've already seen it several times because it does it like every 1 to 3 minutes. So it will kind of stop and kind of like maybe flesh out the whole screen, and it'll say calibrated. So, but yeah, you're the cameraman all night.
Okay.
You got this. So go ahead and ramp up your spirit box and we'll see what you guys can hear on there. So the reason why I kind of gave you that one is because his body is recording.
Ours is like kind of similar.
No, it's, you have to hold it. It's a button. It's almost like a toggle switch going one way and then it goes another way.
Yeah, tell me. Go back to where you live.
Right here.
It was all
push up on it.
Was Big John sitting on it? There you go. It's whatever it is.
This is completely lighting up. Is it supposed to completely?
So
It was like all of them.
the reason why we're kind of comparing the 2 different EMFs is because hers is literally only going after the things that are not from the earth.
Okay.
Okay.
It was 4.8 like a couple minutes ago, but I can't remember.
Okay, what's her number?
So your first green light is obviously 0. Your second green light is 0.4.
Okay.
Yours only goes to 25. If you go above 25, you're obviously off the spectrum of what you use.
Okay.
So
I got
yours
you.
goes way further than hers.
Okay. I
So
understand what
just
you're
kind of
saying.
keep that in mind.
Okay.
So let's show you how to use this REM pod thing.
Okay.
So you notice I cut the little flap on the back out.
Yes.
So go ahead and flip it all the way over for me. You're going to see 2 little white buttons.
Yep.
Feel the little white buttons. The one on the left runs the device on the left. You want to worry about the one on the right.
Okay.
So go ahead and click that all the way in. Okay, perfect. So pull the antenna out.
Yep.
Flip it back over. And basically,
What sports did they play at the bottom?
the little white button.
Of the people that came in?
Click it.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, just leave the flap out so that we can easily access it, especially if the gearbox is pod, because it gets really annoying. Yeah, like a flap.
Okay.
So you want to try to be as still as possible with this thing. You can use this as a communication device too. So say if Big John's teammates are here or somebody wants to come and chat with us, just get close to this little metal stick. Make it light up and give them a demo. You know, put your hand close to it. Kind of give them that little, hey, this is how you use this. Don't use terms they might not understand. 1927, he has no idea what a millimeter is. Okay? Black box, red light, metal stick. Real simple terms. You see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You guys got this.
Yep.
Where's my camera person? The non-teenager. So, this guy.
I had a full plate earlier, but that's not there.
Look how cool that is.
Yeah.
So we need to go to the barn.
Let's go to the bar. I don't want to. I don't know.
I don't have a full
Because
picture.
I'm supposed to ask.
What we do care about.
What's in the barn?
So this is technically like night vision, so we can flash this in certain areas.
What color is the barn? What's in the barn?
Okay, let's not confuse the ghosts. Can we do this?
I always get my stuff over there.
Yeah, there's a door.
Boyd?
And some of them get like that. I've had EVPs literally that was not radio chatter that said, just leave us alone. Like, plain as day, and it's not radio chatter. How do I know it's not radio chatter? It went over 11 different radio stations. I have enough software to be able to analyze this stuff to make sure if it's a disembodied voice, I can figure that out. I don't know what that was.
I don't either.
Okay, as long as I can prove it. As long as I can prove it. Alright, so who else do I need to get with? Let me show you something about your device.
Sure.
So, if you drink like I'm talking to you,
Right. Here. Yes.
Alright, so you put a little calendar next to it and you can correct.
I know.
You got one?
Yep.
I'm excited. That's pretty cool.
And also, I know you don't remember that. Kendall is pretty cool. For some reason.
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yeah, it's like
Not
John
one.
Sandy with an extra name.
Okay.
Yeah. The Kendall one is the other.
Okay.
So again, you get a number that shows up there, obviously.
Okay.
I am very excited about it.
Yeah.
You never want to hit the red X's. You don't want to hit clear or
Okay.
don't hit
Just
anything.
that one.
You got it.
Okay.
So I'll be that time to say, hey, there's a couple of words that
Sure.
I'm not here to hear.
Okay.
And we'll just kind of read them on what's
Easy enough? Yeah.
real easy stuff. All right. Have you heard anything yet?
Every now and then.
Okay.
Hear a
It's
little
not the easiest job in the
word,
world.
A little bit of music come in.
Yep.
But yeah.
It's not the easiest job in the world to listen to that. All right. Everybody have the gist of their devices?
Yep.
All right. Girls, let's go learn some real history. We're going to go this way.
Yeah, yours only goes to 25.
So let's move in a little bit. That's the only entrance and exit. It's the only way in and out of here. So I don't want to make any ghosts. So we don't create ghosts here. We go find them, right? So welcome to the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion line. Look how crazy the EMF's going. Awesome. That's good stuff. So we're going to talk about that too. So what's so significant about this place? First off, no other tourists come here because there's nothing to see, obviously, but a bunch of vehicles. But this is where the mansion was for the Pinckney family. It was in the front, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was where that where the tree on the left is. It came all the way across, and we are standing where the servant and slave quarters were. Who the hell were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. Those two were signers of the Constitution. Pretty big deal. I hate politics. I don't think anybody here wants to talk about politics after we just watched an election. So we're going to move on to Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. Eliza got married at a young age. By the way, this is a place where I'm not going to be giving you answers like what color is George Washington's white horse. Like with the red barn thing that we did over there. You're going to find the answers on your own spirit boxes. So this is kind of like your intermediate level. You all got the gist of your devices. This is where you're going to have some fun. And women, y'all got to interrupt me every once in a while. So, she got married at a very young age because her father thought he was dying. He lived in England, which is where she was from. She was born in Antigua, but she's originally from England. But she got married to Charles because it didn't give her citizenship, but it just said, hey, Dad, I don't want to go anywhere. Which is basically what happened. She was right. He didn't die right away. So he started sending over wedding gifts because she got married in the meantime that he was sick. So one of those things that he actually sent over was the plant indigo. Indigo makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. It's what we still use it today. You have it on right now. So it actually started right here. And we already had indigo here as a small crop in Charleston because of our gullah culture. Those are slaves that came straight over from Africa. So her slaves were of this nature. So they were able to teach her how to keep that plant cultivated. So she experimented with it here, and then they eventually moved it over to Sneak Farm in Mount Pleasant. It's about 20 minutes north of a drive from here, so it was pretty far for them. We're talking mid-colonial times, by the way, so 1750s. So with that being said, once it's a big cash crop over there, perfect timing, by the way, because the rice plantations were going way downhill, and we needed something else to kind of save the colonies. She called her dad up, not literally on a telephone, by the way, mid-1700s call. So she says, hey, Dad, I need some people to sell this indigo to. It's pretty expensive stuff. It takes a lot of money to cultivate it. Let's get it rolling. So he gives her some contacts. Boom, she's a businesswoman in the mid-1700s. No such thing as a businesswoman back then. So this is a pretty big deal. Eliza Pinckney is a big deal, but nobody ever talks about her on a tour. They hear something about Pinckney Street or some, but never her specifically. So there's a lot of weird things about Eliza, though. First off, I'm only giving you a smidge so you guys have enough to play with on your spirit boxes. I'm not giving you her whole novels and novels of her life. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So both Elizas go by their maiden name, which coincidentally both start with L. That's all I'm going to tell you. Obviously, you can ask how old she was when she got married. You can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was when she died, what did she die from, where is she buried, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. If that doesn't tell you how important she was, then I don't know what will, really, because that's pretty good stuff. Let's see what else. You can ask what happened to the mansion. So obviously it's not here anymore. You can ask what happened there. You can ask anything you want. Oh, not anything, but if you want to go ahead and ask about her children, try to stick very basic. How many kids did you have? How many boys? How many girls? Kind of thing. Maybe we can get some specific answers. The reason why I say don't dive too much into that is there was a tragedy among those children, and if you start poking that bear, all activity stops. Like, she just doesn't want to talk about it. So let's not ruin it for the whole group. Okay? Don't be tempted. Some people get tempted, even though I mentioned them to not. Let's see, I think that covered. If you want to ask Charles anything, it's all about political things. Maybe ask about his birthday, maybe his month of when he died. So those two things are pretty significant. I think that about covers it of things. If you get inspired by whatever I said before about what you want to ask and you get a direct answer, I'll see if I can verify it for you. I'm not going to make stuff up. I may have to Google something, especially if you ask something odd that I would never even thought of before, which in 2 years' time I don't think anybody has. So the video I showed the two of you actually occurred right up there in that top corner. So kind of be mindful that this is what, if I were to have a grand finale, guys, this would be it. There's a lot here. So we are going to spend about 10 to 12 minutes here, granted on how much activity we're getting. If we're getting a lot, we'll hang out, see if we can get more. Or maybe I'll cut out one other small little location because this is a big one. So we'll kind of let the evidence dictate what we're going to do here. Cameras. People get weird about cameras in their vehicles. So be mindful of that. People coming by to go to their cars, we're not filming, we're not taking pictures of their specific vehicle. I've been screened out 3 times, it's never fun. Like, they don't understand we're ghost hunting and not stealing their car. They don't care. Not to mention, if I were a car thief, that would be my best tool. I know how long every car's been here based on their heat signature. So we won't get into giving guys ideas. Mike's like, hang on a minute, there's extra stuff. But yeah, we are going to have fun in here. Be mindful, this is the only way in and out. Spirit boxes that are noisy, you guys kind of have to stay away from each other, but you can get a little louder than you were by the horses. So I am going to work with you again on the REM pod here. This is a very interesting lot for you. But yeah, let's spread out and have some fun. Watch those cars on their lasers.
All right.
Let's spread out. Let's do this. Get that thing cranked up. What do you think? Is this what you guys signed up for? Or what you're hoping for?
This is all him.
Really?
Yeah.
I figured this was going to be all you.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know why. I'm not a psychic. Like, I don't pretend to be, so I try to get a vibe.
I like those tours. I've done never wanted to like that was more what.
Okay. I'm going to the lighthouse in September to do an investigation down there with another contract. So they've invited me down because of what I do here. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be there. So I'll take that. More than likely, you're probably not going to see anything in real time. That's why we take the pictures, and that way I can show you the details. And when I do capture evidence from there, it goes into an evidence filter. And when you see how small some of this evidence can be, and debunked, you know what I mean? Like how it actually comes to be.
I smell something foul. I think something is dead around here.
How long has it been dead?
Probably since lunchtime.
Something's happening. I didn't do anything. Eliza, what happened to your house? What happened to the mansion? Eliza, what happened to your house? How did he die? How old were you when you died? It was just 17.
It's literally going to be that long. So again, and you can see, like, I light nothing in the picture. Like, obviously, it's pretty dark, but I probably light nothing in the sun. And there's one here, this is understand. That's here, that's block, and you have kind of covering over here. It's kind of hard to tell if it's coming around. So I mean, let me add it on the block. Yeah, very simple stuff. Yeah, I know it isn't the most exciting because you're not going to see anything in real time, more than likely. But at the same token, you're listening to one of my favorite schools. So I figured the three of you would be working together on that anyway.
Oh, yeah. What's like that question that you've asked before?
Everyone I just told you, now I've gotten answers.
Okay.
So I always, the president one has been coming up more and more.
Okay.
So that's the Paul Bearer and Eliza.
See anything?
But I think you're supposed to speak.
See you.
Which U.S. president
Looking
was
hot.
called there at
Huh?
Looking hot.
It's from
Binding.
Eliza, what part of England were you from? Eliza, what plant did you grow?
Again, it's not anything.
Yes.
But even if it's
We thought we heard something earlier. We should go to the garden area.
Let's go to our garden.
After. Again, there's a lot of EMF over there. Over here?
You'll feel like this. It's commercial. Giving you a mic slide. Maybe he can hear it.
I had hearing loss. I had hearing loss. Apparently so do you.
Yeah. Eliza. When were you born?
I don't remember. Zero.
Who was the president of the office? Why is that important? 14, 7. Oh,
Was it George Washington? Was George Washington a Paul Era? At your funeral?
What are we thinking? But I do like your apple right here. Because the word apple shows up in here a lot, especially because George Washington is on watches they have. So for example, it was a thing with the, somebody asked me where the funeral, and the name Denzel Washington came out. Now, Denzel isn't obviously something that we don't care about, but Washington was there. These are slowed down. It's going to pick up a word before or after what they're actually trying to tell us. And I've had Washington show up here multiple times. So again, it's not a question of like, hey, let's see if it actually spits out 5 cylinders. You know what I mean? Because that's hard to do. Denzel Washington, like, it's prominent. You know, who talks about Denzel Washington on the radio anymore? Not like he recently died or had a new film come out that I know of. You know what I mean? It was like, wow, that's crazy. So yeah, Apple was right. So if you live in Mount Vernon, lots of apples. And Martha went to make him a lot of apple pie. It's her favorite. They say red? Well, red barn. Again, taking their time to get to us or they're preempting things. I'll have to really look at all the clues to kind of see where that apple belongs, whether it's in Washington or the color of the barn. Because apples can also be green. You have to remember that too. So, but apples, primarily when you think of a generic apple, it's red.
Yep.
So I got it. I mean, I'm kind of playing both devil's advocate here. I got to see what's going to be tied in.
Right.
Because we do have the word barn so far, but if I get something tied into Washington, even though Randy just heard the word red, we got a lot going on with that damn barn.
Yeah.
So John and your teammates are a little late, buddy. We've moved on, but it's okay.
Time's not the same on the other side.
It's not. It's definitely not. And you still got that rep pod on? It's not doing anything?
It did something for a second, but then it went away.
Okay. You're doing the right thing. You're being really still. I have the field pretty small, so it doesn't go ballistic on me. Because if I make the field go any bigger, if you move, it's gonna go. So the way you're moving, it would probably be going off crazy. It's pretty small. I gotta get pretty close. What is that? About an inch before it starts to go off? I can make it. It almost like expands it like a half inch at a time. So.
Oh, it's 28.
That's crazy. And that's gonna probably go all the way down to zero.
That's 14. That's fine.
Yep. But why? There's the question. But why?
But why?
And you're not really getting much of anything either. You were getting
I was a
orange
little
spike.
bit, but yeah.
I feel like when she gets a lot, I don't get anything, but when I get a lot, she gets nothing.
Okay. So don't look over.
Yeah. Or like when I'm not near her, it's almost like a spike.
You guys are like running experiments with me right now, so I can see like if I need to separate these two devices or keep them together. You know, are they measuring which
Do you want to ask any questions? See if you hear anything?
It's not measuring.
Lotto numbers. Wait, that's not how they sound.
Maybe. Questions?
6? What?
The nice thing is I can usually pinpoint who's going to have a hard time hearing a clear box and they get the recordable number. That way I can verify it.
I think I'm hearing the spirit of Bruno Mars.
Joke.
Still telling me how beautiful I am.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
We're going to spend just a few more minutes here. I want to see if anything kind of pops up. I'm going to take a break up from the map. Go up into a corner here. We're at 80%.
I know I have like 26 or 26. It's weird though when you have something like that.
A lot of stuff.
Were you? Look it up. You will. You're probably asking. What's a loss is great. I think that was nothing. Manny has.
You're doing the perfect thing, man. The more still you can be with that, the easier it is for me to try to find stuff.
People just walking by.
Yep. Exactly. And I actually, so last week somebody came across, they were a normal temperature and then they disappeared. And it was over here. I'm like, where the hell did they go? Because the angle was perfect where I could see across the street everything. Like, where the hell did they go? Because they were orange. I'm like, that's not right. You know, because they were the same color as the other person in the video that was part of the party. You know what I mean? It was just weird. But the other stuff where I get blue things that kind of like show up on somebody's shoulder and then mist away, yeah, I can't explain that stuff either. I got that a few weeks ago. I still got to clip it out so I can start showing on my board what you guys are looking for. Like that, you know, the 2 dead people over here. And the reason why they called me up to that area is because they thought they were seeing shadows. I went up there to go debunk it because people, I don't put people's feelings into things. I need the data. So the next morning is when I caught that video. Holy shit, they actually did see something. So. You getting any answers yet? We're getting all kinds of stuff over here. We're going to regroup. I'm going to give you the answers. I'm not going to leave you all hanging. All right, let's regroup. Let's see what we're getting. First off, let's go through some of the things we actually caught onto in the way I'm going to be looking at this. So I do want to definitely start with your digital list. So let's talk about the words that you and I talked about that were definitely relevant.
Okay, so we talked about apple.
Okay. Right. That's what we're going to explain in a second. It could also relate to the other word you got, which was?
Barn.
Barn. We had the word barn while we were at the Red Barn. So apple is obviously something that's even prominently read. So it could be related there, but it could also be related to George Washington. All there. Yeah. So I also want to point out that I played a little mind trick on all of you. I told you we're not going to be playing with the colors George Washington's white horse trick, thinking if you had that suggestive thought in your head, who's going to just come up with Washington right off the top, and you all passed. None of you came up with the president without any kind of clue. So very good job. Yes, I play mind tricks too. I'm the full thing, guys. So what other term did we talk about? There was one more, wasn't there? No. Okay, so we had the 2 there. We did hear the color red on this spirit box. So right now everything is kind of geared towards the barn. You guys were asking several questions. Now you know that George Washington was the pallbearer. You guys know why apples are related to George Washington? Mount Vernon was pretty much an apple. Okay. It's a big deal. We also get the word wood here a lot when you're asking that question because George Washington had adventures. So we get that a lot. So let's answer the questions that you guys were probably all asking. Eliza was 22 when she got married. Charles was 45. So there's a 23-year age difference between each, double over her age. So just kind of think about that. So sometimes I get 22, sometimes I get 23, which is obviously the age gap. Eliza died at the age of 70. So yeah, in 1793. So back then, that was a long damn time to be living. And she died from breast cancer that we know of. So again, think of the times. We didn't even know what cancer was yet. We're going off the medical records. That was in Philadelphia, which is also where she was buried. Charles is buried here in Charleston. She's buried up in Philadelphia. So that also answers the question of like, we're on the Stories in the Cemetery tour, and Nick's not going to take us to any cemeteries. It's because people don't normally hang out where they're buried. Okay, just got to keep that in mind. You wouldn't. You're probably going to go home or someplace that you love, like your mansion down here in Charleston. So just kind of keep that in mind. Charles was a Jeffersonian Republican. When I asked you about his birthday and his death, both of those dates were in October. So sometimes the term October will show up twice. So it'll come up on one spirit box and then show up on a word list and vice versa. So again, it makes a lot of sense when you're getting that. At times, Charles, if you ask him to put his name on the digital spirit box, he will. He'll literally just put it right there. And a lot of times when I was trying to find the skeptic, I would say, hey skeptic, come with me, watch this. Hey Charles, put your name on this box for me. Charles, and they were like, okay, I get it, you know, kind of thing. So it was always, and it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, and I can't make it happen. It's just a fun trick to do. What other questions? The mansion burned down in 1861, so obviously long after Eliza died, almost 70 years, but the house was obviously still in the family. There were 4 children, Thomas, Charles, George, and Harriet, 3 boys, 1 girl. The words relating to letters and writing often come up here because she had to write letters to Harriet. Oh, that's your. I'm like, what does the red light mean? But she had to write letters because Harriet married in Glory, and Glory is where Myrtle Beach is. That's Glory County. So obviously that's a big, big probably a day or two to go up. But again, writing letters is a big deal. So I get a lot of writing letters too. And George is also named after her father. So we have 3 Georges we're given. Her father, her son, and the guy who took her to her grave. So again, I was at that extra important. We're going to walk up about 4 blocks. So, a couple of rules along the way. Your EMF and your EMF are going to go bonkers because of the parking meters. Actually, I don't know that yours will. Just tell me if it does. Nobody's ever said, okay, that makes sense, but yours definitely will. I've got the parking meter, so you can pretty much ignore your tool until you get to Lodge Alley. Okay. Spirit boxes, if you're going to listen along the way, you're listening for names. I'm not going to tell you this is the one. No. I'm going to give way in. Mike, you're going to just keep filming, man. You're doing a great job. He is so into this. Yeah. He is all about this. So, sorry, man. I need another broski to kind of team up with me over here. So, are you guys ready? Yeah. All right. Let's go. We're going to go out to the front gate here. Everybody watching
I love her so much.
Not there today, but they try to make
Yeah, you caught that a mile away.
my wife's trying to figure out how to get the car. Yeah, no.
or the Frederick. I don't know. That was it. And it was just like right there.
Well, not in the Frederick. It would have been a name from that particular time period. So what I'm looking for here, we can go ahead and turn them down. This is a quiet area. So it's very brief here. I just like to kind of tell you what you're looking at. So this is one of our first streets we ever had in Charleston. When we crossed that last crosswalk, that was where the Charlestown Wall went up. So again, it was across the street on East Bay when we were walking down this way, and I'll talk more about the wall. But obviously those buildings that would have been there in the 1800s, there were people that used to live here. Their houses were very small, obviously shotgun houses. I have the full list of names of everybody that lived in them. So, name that commonly get, or Benjamin, John. And sometimes it's John's last name, it's Johnson. So what's common, what's so weird about that is that in 1801 there were only 5 people that lived here. Benjamin and John, 2 of them combined. So that's almost half of what is actually here. There were 4 different Johns that lived here. I get Johnson in the same night. Benjamin and John Johnson, he wants to tell me exactly which John he was. So this is also where the Masons used to meet, so I get the word Mason here all the time. It's very name you don't always hear. Again, in Freemasons, it would have been a Masonic lodge, so we get lodge as well. This is Lodge Alley. But this would have been one of the first streets, and why I pointed out why the edge of the water where there were no buildings is because that low tide smell, these would have been lower class people. They did find some of their silverware and jewelry and little bits of their clothing and some evidence of fires to prove like these people were lower class. So again, I have their occupations on that list as well, so I never know what I'm going to come up with, whether it be seamstress, mariner, grocer. Seamstress was usually a code name for prostitute, by the way. So it was kind of a, yeah. Why are you excited about that? That's not really cool. So
It's more exciting than a
I'm sure it was. So we are going to cut through the rest of this alley, but we're going to be in a neighborhood where tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides. So we're going to be kind of very quick to move on to our next street and see what kind of comes up. This is where I definitely focus on the portable spirit box. I have had some weird light anomalies come up on the thermal imaging, and we've had some pictures coming in. Hopefully we can grab a few on our way out. So just remember, we're going to be moving quick, so if you want to snap a few, roll still, and then catch up with us. Maybe one of you stay behind, both of you stay behind. But yeah, we're just going to go out here and make a right across the street. So this is a really cool alley. Here in Charleston, I had to show you some kind of old bricks, right? So I go through a lot of shoes because of this alley. So, let's head up this one.
Well, maybe one here as well.
Good Lord. I told you I let the evidence kind of dictate the story to itself. So we did get a term on the way over to Lodge Alley on the story where there is an Amanda involved. So again, I told you about the story of the doctor. This is the story of the doctor. So did you guys notice the gorgeous alley that we passed that was brick paved all the way down? I used to take my tours down there, and then I found out I'm not allowed to take tours down there. So I got caught, obviously. But I'm going to tell you that story anyway because it's awesome. So the wall to that alley is behind you, and if every guy can see it, there's actually a doorway in the middle of it. So that alley is now called Philadelphia Alley, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley. That's where our duels used to be. So that doorway, which there is a gate and it's locked now, but what would happen is if there was a death during a duel, because it didn't always happen, they would carry the body through that gate, over this courtyard, over to the cemetery, where they would drop the body and they would celebrate the death. Not everybody knows what that gate is actually for. Everything is just an easement to come up to the courtyard. But that's what its original intention was for. But we all tell the story of one particular duel, because there's actual evidence. So, there was a doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island. His name was Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So, Ladd is in like a young lad with 2 D's. So he moved down here because his fiancee Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dad's parents. The attorney that was helping her out with that money told her to send the doctor away. He thought the doctor was just after her money. So the doctor said, fine, I'll prove I'm not just after the cash. And he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brings him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it's not a very good start. It was uptown. Somebody walking by sees what's happening. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Coincidentally, his initials are the same as the state that the doctor came from, R.I. So Rhode Island and Ralph Isaacs. I get R.I. here a lot. It's weird. So we never know what that refers to until I get something else. So anyway, Ralph says, let me take you somewhere else. I'll take you somewhere safe. So he takes him up to 59 Church Street. We're on Church Street now, so it's about a mile this way, closer to downtown. The two become friends, obviously. The guy saved his life. But the doctor, he starts making more money. And he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because Amanda's going to be moving down soon. He's proving his point. So, the Whistling Doctor, if you Google it, you'll hear a very long, detailed version of the story. But anyway, him and Ralph used to go see plays together, but because the doctor made so much more money, they sat in different seats based on their hierarchy in society. So they couldn't talk about the plays during the play. They waited till after. So they go see William III from Shakespeare, talking about the new actress that's in town. The doctor loves her. Ralph not so much. Start arguing. Ralph starts insulting his fiancée back home. And it turns into a screw you, and they go their separate ways. Now, Ralph, I told you, is from here. He calls his newspaper friends. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's not from here, he charges too much, yada yada. The doctor sees this, challenges him to come down to Dueler's Alley to settle the score. So they come down, they take the 20 paces to return. The doctor points his gun in the air, shoots, which is what often happens. He only had one bullet left, talking mid-1800s. So, Ralph, he has one bullet, he takes it out on the kneecap of the doctor. Sorry, you're just a person. I'm trying to get him. So, obviously the doctor didn't die and come through the death gate. His friends pick him up and carry him down to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later. And they say, as you walk through that alley, you know, I can't take you down there. You can hear the whistles from the doctor. So with my tours, this is a place where spirit boxes go down, and you listen to the audio. And I walk by 10 feet ahead of you, so we can get that audio piece. Do I have pieces where I can't debunk? Yes, I do. Do I have a lot of hecklers in town? Yes, I do. So you can hear the hecklers because we all know the story of the Whistling Doctor. So people walk by and whistle because they know there's people like me with them. But it is a gorgeous, gorgeous alley. It's probably the prettiest spot we have in all of Charleston. The story that they're telling up there near the cemetery, I'm going to give it to you in a very quick manner. Any other terms come up, by the way?
Yeah, we got a beep on doorway and jeans.
You got doorway?
Doorway. The doorway right there.
I can't make this stuff up. I did not pay her. She paid me.
That's right.
That's really cool stuff. So, we'll definitely be listening to the recorded end of things to see what's coming up there. Obviously, we won't tell them. She's like, damn it, I want to know. So, the story that he's telling, obviously a cemetery, there's a sign just inside the gate. It says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason. It's very quick and simple. They make it a big deal. It's really not. 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. 6 days after her stillborn child. Pretty much her. 7, we have a local photographer in town. He takes pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her over that grave. It's 1987. No cell phones, no Photoshop, none of that stuff. So what's he do? He sends the picture to Kodak. So, sorry, I was going to point out the teenagers bit that they probably don't know what the hell Kodak is, but you're probably old enough now. So, Kodak, they can't debunk the picture either. So I pick on teenagers a lot with technology, so, because y'all think I'm old. But anyway, they can't debunk the picture either. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If anything comes up out of any evidence for Sue Howard Purdy, and I have to give you a link, there's a heated warning. Females, there's a whole lot of you here, if you hold or handle the picture, it's cursed. Okay, so you'll start to feel the same things I told you about back at the John's. Pregnant females are going to not going to have a good pregnancy. So again, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not showing you the picture. I'm very superstitious, as I'm sure you all can imagine with my occupation. So again, if we get evidence, her name is Sue Howard Purdy. You want to look it up on your own. Another male, by all means. They're like, no, I don't want to see it. It is a super cool picture for guys like me. I will also tell you, do you guys see the big bright light back there past the tree? So that light is to stop people like me from taking video and pictures. They want that light to kind of hinder. What they don't understand is that full spectrum lighting, I'll be able to cut right through that light, and we do get some weird anomalies that way. We've used a night light there, we've used the lasers in there. I don't get a whole lot of evidence other than if I call Sue Howard Purdy Susan, she corrects me by telling me Sue. So it's very interesting. It's almost like she's kind of bitter about the whole ordeal. It's not like, again, I don't try to piss anybody off, especially with those that I have to work with. So, one last thing before we go to our last final investigation. You guys see the burning gas lamp in the distance?
Yeah.
That's the pirate house. The pirate house, you can't miss it. It has a big anchor on the front of it. If somebody lives there, don't go to his backyard. Don't ask me how I know that. So, poke around, guys. So, he does get angry. But what I will tell you is that that's where Blackbird's men would come off their ships and go hang out with a few ladies, have a few drinks, have a place to stay. The cool thing is that they actually dug a tunnel from the pirate house underground over 1 block to the Dock Street Theater, which is one of the top 10 haunted locations in America. Do I have a whole lot of evidence from that place? No. I haven't taken all my new gadgetry there, but I just don't have a lot of evidence. The reason why they would go over there, more prostitution, and they had plays over there. Pirates tie really good knots. They can work for a few bucks while they're in town. So while they're doing their trading, they can make a few dollars on the side. So it makes perfect sense. How do we know that that hole was actually there and legit? We just filled it in the 1990s. And also keep in mind, there was rumor that Blackbeard's treasure was buried there. We all know that that damn treasure's in North Carolina, and Blackbeard never even set foot on our soil before. He would stay back with the ships. So that was kind of his MO. Now that I have your mind on pirates, let's go talk about a kick-ass female pirate. So, I'm not a big Pirates fan, but this was a really cool story that I had to add. Okay, so you didn't actually hear a name out of that singing voice? Because I'll take lyrics too. Again, they're trying to find anything to communicate with us. Alright, so this is going to be our final location. We're going to dive into this one pretty deep. This is your more expertise type location because there's a lot of holes in the story. So you're going to hopefully come up with some of those answers to the holes. We're going to talk about the powder magazine. I'm talking about it back here on purpose because this is where my thermal imaging camera likes to screw up a little bit. And I want to capture more evidence with that. So please keep a close eye on that for me. I want glitches in there. So, powder magazine, that's the building with the crosses on it. First off, those aren't crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles that go through the roof or the floor of a building. And if we get another earthquake, like we did in 1886, because that's the only one we've ever had, we can turn those earthquake bolts and straighten the building right back up again. That's the gist behind it. The significant thing about those are the very first earthquake bolts that we put in Charleston. That's why they look so crude. They're not even cut the same length. Like those wrought iron bars, like they're not even the same length. It's just weird. So I told you about the Charlestown walls, right? This is where the Charlestown wall came up, this street right here. That's why I like to come over here too. It's an easy pinpoint. It would go up the street here. Obviously the street wasn't here yet, but then it went about half a block past where the powder magazine is now. So think about that. The powder magazine that holds the city's gunpowder is in the corner of the Charlestown walls. It's 3 blocks away from the water. So if it does get hit by a cannon, those walls are 35 inches thick. It's probably not going to penetrate it, but in the event it actually goes through and blows up the gunpowder, the roof is filled with sand. So the reason behind that is that the sand would go up and then be able to fall to put out the flames from the gunpowder. Sounds really smart, but it's kind of a stupid idea because it doesn't work. We know that because we had another powder magazine near the battery, much closer to the water because the way the peninsula is shaped. Sand went up because it got struck, did not put out the flames, the whole thing burned to the ground. So the sand just wasn't enough. However, the sand is still there. It's still in there from 1712. Sand does not disintegrate. How do we know it's there? Repairs in the 1990s, so we can turn it into a museum for you guys to come visit. So, this is our oldest government building on the East Coast. It was finished in 1713. So, that's kind of why this story ties in, because this particular pirate was here in Charleston during the time that this was being built. It's something familiar. So, a young lady moves here from Ireland with her father and his mistress, who happened to be her mother. They moved here all the way from Ireland in 1708 to get away from his wife. She was pretty scorned and pissed off, obviously. So, her name was Anne Cormack. During the time this is being built, she sees everything, she turns into a teenager. Pirates come through town. She falls in love with one of them. His name is James Bonney. She wanted a kick-ass Johnny Depp pirate, right? So, this is a filthy pirate that Dad doesn't approve of. So what does she do? She runs away to Jamaica, she gets married. She's now Anne Bonny. You can Google Anne Bonny, she's the most famous female pirate we have. James did not turn out to be this kick-ass Captain Jack Sparrow that she wanted. He turned out to be a privateer, which basically means he was a coward and he was a spy for the British. So she didn't want that. So what she do? She starts flirting with somebody else. His name is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. Obviously much cooler name, much younger pirate. He has a new ship, she wants to be part of it. He says, okay, you could be part of it, girlfriend, but you gotta dress like a guy because females curse pirate ships. And she's like, all right, I'm game. Dad actually used to hide her as a young apprentice boy back in Ireland to keep her away from the wife. So she was already used to that. He said, you can dress like a female all you want to in my quarters, which of course he's perfectly fine with. You just can't be that way on with the crew. Being a female in his quarters, she eventually gets pregnant, obviously. So she can't be pregnant on a pirate ship. Pirates aren't pregnant, right? He drops her off in Cuba to go have the baby and then come back and they'll figure it out later. She has the baby, comes back with no baby. We don't know what happened to that child, if the baby made it, if she left him with the people in Cuba, whatever happened, we have no idea. So she comes back, but she's dressed like a girl. She don't give a shit anymore. I don't care. Well, that makes Jack pretty mad. So she goes down below deck and starts flirting with the pirate crew that he just acquired and captured, and she's going to make Jack jealous. Well, the person she was flirting with was a female, dressed like a male, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So, she now has this new friend named Mary Read, and she convinces Mary Read to become part of the pirate crew with her aboard that ship. She agrees. All the other pirates are down below deck while the British fleet moves in on the pirate ship. It's Anne Bonny and Mary Read literally trying to fight off the entire British fleet. What do you think happens? They obviously got captured. All the pirates down below deck, including the ones that were captured by Calico Jack, get recaptured by the British. They're all tried and hung pretty quickly. A week later, Anne Bonny and Mary Read, because they fought back, they go see Chief Justice Nicholas Laws separately. They hurried up and dressed like guys, but they're going to reveal themselves when they get to court. So they do that, and the judge says, I don't give a damn. You're females, you're still pirates to me. Hang them. Then they say, whoa, we plead our bellies. Which basically means they're both pregnant. Okay, we'll delay your hanging. Dad's still here in Charleston. He bails out Anne Bonny. Allegedly, she moves back here, remarries again, guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary Read, even though she was female, and has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. How we have all these holes in the story, but we have a very specific age, I don't know. But however, I have had the number 84 show up here before, multiple times. I know, crazy stuff. What happened to Mary Read? She died in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. That was about a year later after she was captured. So that would have been 1721. This is where you guys are going to have a blast. Ask as many questions as you want. I told you what I know. anything else we come up with, if you want to ask something specific to that, I've read 5 books on this one. 5. I've only given you the things that were common. So I've had to rehearse this to make sure I wasn't spouting off, oh, that came from that book or this one came from that book. These are the common things that we know of. 5 different stories. And I'm not talking like little novelettes here. I'm talking full-blown novels written about pirates in that time. So have some fun, ask a million questions, laser grids, we'll see what happens. EMF, this is a dead zone. If you get anything, I'm excited because that means something is going to show up somewhere else. Thermal imaging is great in the front of the building. So this is the side of the building. The front is over here on this side, actually on Cumberland. So if you want to take pictures there as well with the lasers, you can. But again, we're going to spend about 10 minutes here to kind of see where the activity goes. If we get obviously a lot, we'll kind of hang out and see what else happens. Or we're going to collaborate this and see what happens. So he's like, yeah, I want to go to the front. Let me see this thing. All right, let's spread out, guys. Have fun. Rem 5, I'll be real curious to see what you get here. So, I will try to take it.
Why does this smell like horse poop?
It's ghost horse.
Girls ask, who is this man? Man is talking to a woman. The gentleman wouldn't have done that. He says, well, we call him the gentleman. Agitated, he just stick around.
Yeah, Erica's 30.
Okay.
And,
She's asking about these.
Who is this man? And Drayden says,
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
well, he was at school. Studying and doing quite well. He'd been writing back to his family for months about this. Writing letter after letter about how wonderful she is. He can't wait to meet her, going to marry her, and they were making plans for the future. The plans were once he finishes school at Yale, he would sail down to Charleston, and with his family's help, they would buy some property. She would soon follow. The day finally arrived, and he finished his school.
Erica, yeah, she,
For goodbyes. He had to get on the boat headed towards Charleston. Breaks his heart.
she's the one that really finds something. Yeah.
Instead of going home to his family, he spent 4 days.
It just keeps moving.
All day.
You know what happened?
After 4 days of drinking, he
Moving. It's like a tree.
I wasn't taking a picture.
can't wait to meet her. Just go buy some.
Yeah.
He gets him no answer. He ignores him. He walks right past. He goes up the set of stairs towards his bedroom door. Walks right past his bedroom door. Up the next set of stairs.
Slicing.
It's only the last few minutes anyway. So anything in front?
Well, there's people.
Oh, another tour up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I should have warned you about that. Sorry. I try to stay out of their way.
Yeah.
I'm the noisy group. So. I was gonna say, did you lose the wife? She's right there. Say, did she join the other group?
Got the word Cuban earlier.
Did you get Cuban?
Got earlier. Yeah, earlier.
Bring that list over here.
And then the number 5, too, she was saying that, like, there were 5 original houses over here.
We have Cuban. showed up. So what happened to the baby? They turned Cuban, apparently.
They turned Cuban.
They stayed there.
I don't know. There's some other words that are kind of questionable on that, but she mentioned the number 5, and then just recently it's just been April.
What?
Oh wow.
Want me to go home to April?
Probably.
I've been out all day.
And then I'll print it from my newspaper. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I need that.
Is what we call the headless torso. He moves around the room, breathing in a very awkward, unpleasant sound, like a guttural moan is how it's described. And he haunts that room. We believe he's a Civil War soldier. He has no head, no arms, and no legs. He is a torso. So I give you options, as I said. His almanac records about the same night with a Civil War soldier who had his head and arms and his legs removed when a cannon exploded next to him. Got so fast, it wasn't even what he said.
Got a little captain in you?
Yeah, one little captain in me.
He said my wife. Where's your wife?
Huh?
It's like, what happened to your wife? Hey.
Any questions? Find a group.
Right.
Definitely her sign was up in. It was like really cool.
Sign was really cool.
Okay, very cool. So I'll definitely be looking for that. Yeah, I'm stoked. Being able to listen to that and to watch this one on the camera. Randy, you hearing anything else on yours? Nothing? They've heard the word son and bachelor. So, but they also asked, what's funny is how many kids does she have? And they asked me if the number 5 was significant. They had 4 kids after she moved here and got remarried, and then there's the baby from Cuba.
Then she left in Cuba.
So, again, rumors, but this is why I kind of come here. Like, it's one of those, all right, I'll turn this into the expert mode and see what you guys come up with.
So she like to watch The Bachelor? What?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. 1720, that would have been a big show back then.
Yeah.
Going on.
Handing out the rose. Are we
She was
getting
on a
any?
pirate ship. Maybe she started the whole thing.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
true.
She would have been the Bachelorette.
Actually.
She was the bachelor.
Yeah.
Any other weird glitches out of the EMS? And any other crazy terms out of you, Erica?
We got Sandy a long time ago.
Sandy.
That's a stretch, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Sandy
Alright.
Beach in Cuba?
Yeah, right.
Sandy
There you
Beach
go.
in Cuba.
Sandy
Oh.
Beach.
Or Jamaica.
Or in Jamaica, right? Because it would have been in Nassau. Really where they would have been. 'Cause that's
Well,
where,
isn't there sand in this thing?
yep. But they got the word Sandy.
Okay, but sand is sandy.
Sand is sandy. And beaches are beachy.
Yeah.
So, I love it. I am so glad you guys all had fun with this. Oh.
I think that was me. I think that was me.
You're the ghost now?
Yeah! Surprise!
So I'm gonna start collecting devices and get you guys my card so you guys can at least check out the website ahead of time. Of course, I told you I probably won't be done with all of this data for 3 nights worth for at least 9 to 10 hours. Not to mention I gotta take my poor bird to the vet tomorrow. He has a cyst on his wing. So probably gonna have to have surgery tomorrow. Not a good time. Let's start with lasers. So I gotta take care of that. And then start going to work on the data. Very busy day. My one night off, I'm going to be swamped. Black spirit box. That goes next. Thank you. Great attempt. We have the word red from you. We'll take it.
It's very hard.
It is hard. Hopefully, it's much easier when you get the recorded one back. And that's what I was about to tell them, is when you're listening to it from your phone or anything like that, especially if it's not out in the open air, much easier to listen to. Black EMF. You. Digital spirit box. Awesome. And every morning I've been rushing to wake up so I can name all the files for this weekend so I didn't mix them up, because that would suck. Camera. Where's the light? You got that? We got a few pictures with the light, right?
Yeah.
You guys all saw that I gave her a night light, right? So she was able to take a few pictures. It actually has a full spectrum on it too, if you can see those red dots. However, I don't have a full spectrum camera yet, so that's on the way. Of course, I'm always upgrading and updating. Full spectrum lighting, you can only see through certain things. It's kind of like a black light, where things kind of show up with it. So what questions do you guys have? I normally have a million questions afterwards. You guys are pretty quiet.
What's the craziest thing you've heard?
I've heard?
Or like the most compelling evidence?
Just leave us alone, and that literally just happened just a few weeks ago. I got that out of the Pinckney Mansion site that was on the Red Spirit box, and it was a disembodied voice. I'll take the camera. A disembodied voice is not radio chatter. So when I put it into my software,